how Jerusalem became so holy for Muslims, to a degree that it's viewed as the third place in sanctity after Mecca and Medina. The question is even more obvious when everybody knows that Jerusalem is not mentioned in the Quran even once in neither of its namings, meaning Al-Quds or Beit al-Maqdis or Ilia, which is short for Ilia Capitolina, and Urushalim, the Christian name. How Jerusalem became so holy for Muslims? Since the Quran does not mention Jerusalem, we have to go to the Hadith, to the secondary oral tradition, and there we find many things about Jerusalem. First of all, that Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, used Jerusalem as a direction for his prayer when he, for a year and a half, when he was in Medina, after 622, after he emigrated to Medina, he tried to drag 3 groups of Jews who were living near Al-Medina by directing his prayer towards Jerusalem, just like them. They didn't buy this. He got angry with them. He slaughtered them. And they took their women and wives and girls. Even one of his wives was Jewish from that tribe. After there were no Jews, so no point to pray to Jerusalem, he turned the prayer to the south, to Mecca, thus turning his back to Jerusalem, claiming that the Kaaba, the idol of the Arabs for centuries before Islam, is actually a stone, a gift, which Allah gave to Abraham as a reward for willing to sacrifice his son Ishmael. And everybody understands where this story came from. This Jerusalem finished its role in Islam. During the days of Muhammad, there were near, not far from Mecca, a village named Ji'rana. And near this village there were 2 mosques. One was closer and was named Al-Masjid Al-Adna, and the other one was a bit far from the village, and it was called Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, means the further mosque. And everybody knew that. And Prophet Muhammad even prayed in these mosques, Al-Masjid Al-Adna and Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. In the Quran it mentions that Allah took his servant at night from the holy mosque, which is in Mecca, to the further mosque, which is near this village, Al-Ji'rana, and there Allah showed him his wonders. This is chapter 17, verse 1. After Muhammad passed away, the caliphs gradually moved the capital, the Islamic capital, to Damascus, thus leaving Mecca as a remote place, only a place for pilgrimage. In the year of 682, 50 years after the Prophet passed away, there was a rebellion in Mecca because of various reasons, mainly because of the moral level of the behavior of the people in Damascus, who were behaving freely with the wives of the Mujahideen, those who were fighting in Persia and towards Spain in the west. And since they went to Mecca every year in order to cleanse their sins, somebody from Mecca named Abdullah ibn Zubayr declared rebellion against the caliph and against those who lived in Damascus, and he prevented them from coming to Mecca to clean their sins in Mecca. So the caliph, since he could not do anything about this because he had no soldiers at that time, at the year of 682, because the soldiers were fighting in Persia and in Morocco, he, for 8 years, looked for another place or alternative place for pilgrimage. So if Jerusalem was holy for Jews and Christians, let it be also holy for Muslims. Then they took this story about the Allah which took his servant from the holy mosque to Al-Aqsa mosque, and they imported the Al-Aqsa mosque to Jerusalem and said that the Jerusalem is the Al-Aqsa mosque, the real one, and concocted a whole series of stories how Jerusalem is holier than Mecca, only in order to establish the idea that the pilgrimage should be to Jerusalem and not to Mecca. Of course, this was a lie. This was a whole bunch of concoctions. These stories which the ulama, the wise people of the caliph, made up those days. There were Islamic scholars like Ibn Taymiyyah who knew about this, and they tried to put Jerusalem in its original status, which is like every other city. However, since it was political issue, it is political issue until today. By the way, Saladin also in the 12th century used these stories also to inflame his soldiers against the Crusaders, the Christian Crusaders, towards the end of the 12th century. Today also, Jerusalem is nothing but a political issue which is colored by religion, no more. After all, religion and politics in Islam are the two sides of the same coin.